can see, my name is Patrick Phillips. I'm the founder and the CEO of American Business Systems. Folks, we've been teaching people how to get their own business started for 26 years, so we kind of have some experience and know what we're doing in this arena. If you want to check me out just as a human being, I'm a best-selling author. You'll see some of my books out there on Amazon.com, How to Reprogram Yourself for Success, The New Thriving Medical Practice, I co-authored with Dr. Vicki Rackner, and The Cash Crunch to Cash Flow. So I'm also on the editorial board of BC Advantage magazine. That stands for Billing and Coding. So anybody that's in the billing and coding industry for healthcare subscribes to this magazine. There's over 40,000 subscribers, and my articles appear in there on a regular basis as well. I'm also the co-founder of the Medical Revenue Management Association of America, and that is the organization that we established to actually certify you as you go through our training. We have an online virtual one-on-one training that we do for people, and I'll tell you more about that towards the end of this. So let me just tell you a story. My wife and I started doing medical billing back in the early 90s for doctors, and we were making such good money that some of our friends and relatives asked us how we were, buying a new home, new car, and and not getting out of the house much. So we were working from our home, like some of you are probably right now, many years ago in the early 90s. And then a few years later, I had enough people ask me about how we did it that I thought, well, maybe there's an opportunity here to teach other people and let them basically, copy our success. So we did that, and we've been doing that for, like I said, since early 95 or so, when we started actual licensing of people in there. Okay, Trudy, thank you for coming in here. She's in Virginia, it says. All right, and let's see. Oh, I skipped this screen here. This is actually some screen images of our actual online cloud-based billing system and electronic medical record system. So we have both what the doctor needs to run their practice, which is what you run behind the scenes and do all the billing on, and then we also have the electronic medical records that they can use when they're interfacing with patients. It keeps all the records electronically, of course, all the appointments, all the prescriptions, it's all done electronically, and yeah, from anywhere. So folks, you literally can run our system from any computer device anywhere in the world that has an internet connection and a browser. That's all you need. You literally could go down to Best Buy today, buy a new laptop, take it to McDonald's, hook up to their Wi-Fi, and hook up to our system and start doing billing if you had a login. So once you become a licensee, we call it, kind of like a franchisee, but a little different, you're ready to go, and you can work from anywhere on any device. I think these look like Apple computers and phones and everything here, and iPads, but Windows, Chrome, it doesn't matter. It runs on everything. So again, we've been teaching people from coast to coast how to do this, people from every imaginable background. I'm gonna have a special guest on here today, in fact, and he'll tell you a little bit about his background. And most of them have no background in the medical field at all. So why don't we jump right into our topic for today? It's why now is the best time to start your own home-based business. Hopefully you're here because you wondered, is this a good time right now during the pandemic, to start a business? That's a valid question. Why would anybody start a business in the middle of a crisis like this? Well, there's several reasons, but rather than just make these up on my own, I did a little research that you can do also. Here's a magazine article from Forbes magazine, just came out this week. There's a link at the very bottom here that says, why now may just be the best time to start a franchise. Now, since it mentions franchise, and I told you we're not a franchise, let me tell you the differences basically. Well, I'm gonna get into that a little bit deeper, but the basic difference is that we license our system to you. We license our marketing ideas that we've come up with to you. And that's all done with a one-time fee of $27,990. Now, if you're looking to start a business that works from home, that has the potential to make a seven-figure income, this is the one that you should look at very carefully. I know it's a lot of money. Maybe you didn't come thinking that you were going to invest that kind of money in a business, but folks, there are reasons why you need to get into a real business and not just something that's a fad of some kind. Look at the quote from this article, for example. It says, starting a business is tough in any climate. So why would anyone think about starting a business in the midst of a global pandemic? Over the past few months, I've seen many people become frozen with fear, allowing uncertainty to rule their lives. I've also seen many others who are taking bold and calculated risks because they understand that fundamentally, now get this, listen carefully, the author says fundamentally, the bigger the disruption, the greater the potential opportunities that will arise from that disruption. Let that sink in for a moment, folks. The bigger the opportunities, the greater the potential comes from the bigger the disruption. And this is a pretty big disruption, you have to admit, for you as a consumer, as a patient, and for doctors as well, of course. Okay, so there's a good reason for you to think about this being a good time. Here's another article we found from the New York Times. This was just back in June. Is a pandemic the right time to start a business? It just might be. Listen to what it says. In March, as small businesses across the country were shutting down amid the spreading coronavirus pandemic, Chanel Fields was about to open one up. She's not alone. New businesses are forming despite the pandemic, though at a significantly slower rate than before. There have been more than 500,000 applications for an employer identification number since mid-March, according to the Census Bureau. Now, let me point out that that means that people have applied for an EIN, employer identification number. If you start your own business, you have to have that number to report any earnings for any employees that you're hiring. You may not hire any employees. Some of our licensees still run the whole thing with them and their families, but that's what that means. So think about that. Since mid-March of this year, over 500,000 applications for EIN. That means a lot of people realize this is the right time to start a business. Then it goes on to say between mid-March and mid-April, they handled more than $1 billion in sales for businesses that started on the platform during that time. That's through a platform called Stripe. It's a credit card processing firm. So think about that, folks. Since mid-April, mid-March to mid-April, $1 billion in sales have already been done. Where have you been? Why are you waiting? What's the delay? You should be a part of that. Then think about this. If you're wondering if it's the right time to start a business, most of the big businesses that you know of out there, some of them listed here on the screen, produce some pretty high-profile American companies during what? Past turndowns. I mean, downturns. So when the economy downturns like it is right now and has been for the last 2 or 3 months, this is the time to start a business. Why? Because there's more potential. Airbnb, ever heard of them? Disney, General Motors, Hewlett Packard, Microsoft, Slack, Uber, Venmo. Anyway, folks, those are all businesses that were started during a downturn. As you can see, it's a big deal. Somebody typed in here, Mike says, what if I don't have $28,000? Well, Mike, there are ways to finance a business like this. We're going to talk to you a little bit about that towards the end of the webinar, so hang in there, buddy. Okay, I probably wouldn't want to be in business right now, this guy says, that caters to business travelers, but I'd love to be in a business that helps enable telemedicine. Now, folks, remember, let me put that link in there too, okay? I'll put that there in that link. Can somebody tell me in the question box if you're actually seeing these links show up there, or maybe in the chat box on a mobile device? Let's see if anybody actually sees those links. You can go watch these articles. Okay, yes. Hassan says yes. Shirley, Mike, yes. Okay, Vince, Hassan, good. Chelsea, Janice, got the New York Times article, says Sam, great. Okay, so folks, now think about that. There are certain businesses you wouldn't want to start right now. I wouldn't want to start even a sandwich shop right now, you know? I might not start a restaurant. I might not start a traveling thing or a hotel or something, but anything that has to do with medicine, you see, this article says that'd be a good thing to do. Well, guess what? We have telemedicine built into our platform, and doctors are eating it up right now. So again, we're in the right place at the right time with the right service, the right products, the right pricing, and that's why our licensees are just booming right now. Now let's talk about whether this business is a real business or a scam. Now, here's why I use that phrase, folks, because there are scams. On the internet, I know there's lots of businesses that you can start that are not what I call real businesses. They're a fad. They come and go. You know, would you like to start a business, that has to do with, for example, I don't know, ice cream cones? There's lots of ice cream places out there, right? This might not be the right time for that kind of business, but this is a good business to be in. Let me prove that to you. Ever heard of Entrepreneur Magazine? They've been around for 100 years, I guess. You can find them on any newsstand out there. They talk about starting businesses, and they even publish a book called Start Up Your Own Medical Claims Billing Service. They actually have about 24 of these businesses that you can start, and this is one of them. I have this book right here on my shelf, in fact, but let me quote from that article from you. Right from this book, it says the market for medical claims billers is growing exponentially with legions of providers, that's doctors, and an ever-expanding patient pool. Healthcare industry spending is expected to grow by 5.8% each year through 2024. So let that sink in for a second, folks. Any industry that's growing almost 6% a year when others are shrinking, this is a great time to be in business. And look, it says by 2024, healthcare spending will total $5.43 trillion and account for 19.6% of the gross domestic product. So folks, any industry that is almost 20% of that of the entire nation's output, that's a good business to be in, wouldn't you say? So it goes on to end up says, let there be no doubt, healthcare is big business and its growth shows no signs of slowing. This makes it the perfect time to start your own medical claims billing service. So check that book out, go get it on Amazon. It won't tell you everything you need to know, but it'll give you a good overview of the business if you want something that's just a $20 book that would kind of get you kicked off. Now I'm going to talk about baby boomers for a second. I happen to fall into this range right here. This is if you were born between 1946 and 1964, you are a baby boomer. And I fit in that category. Let me tell you what happens. Baby boomers, as they get older, well, parts stop working. Yeah, parts, parts of your body stop working. And they get to feeling bad. So what do? You go to the doctor more as you get older, right? Folks, we're moving into this section right now where baby boomers are just filling up the doctor's offices. They're the ones that are most vulnerable, of course, to the COVID virus. And that's because they need a lot of assistance and help as you get older. So wouldn't that be a good timing to get into a business that is really aimed at the baby boomer generation? Sam says, is this book worth reading? Sam, you're talking about that book that I put up on the screen there. This is a great book it says step-by-step guide to success. Well, it's going to give you an overview. Think of it like this. It's 150 pages of good information and good resources. Our company is actually named in the back of this book as a good company to get started with if you want to get into this business. So it's not everything you need, I'll be honest with you, but it's a good one to start with. Okay, I lost myself there. Oh, okay. No, I think I skipped this whole thing here, did you? Okay. All right, now let me show you this article real quick, and then we're going to introduce our guest for today. Why it might not be such a crazy idea to start a company right now. Now, this was back in May, right? So even at the beginning of this whole thing, this article says now might even be the best time to start thinking about setting up a new venture from home. Folks, think about this business. You can run this business, as most of our licensees do, from their home. Doctors don't want to know where you're at. Nowadays, they don't care where you provide a product or service. Everybody's doing virtual business right now. Our company is a virtual company. We have people all over the country that work for ABS, but they're not in one location, in one building, you see. Home businesses is where it's at. If you've thought about starting a business, think about this. You can take your laptop to Hawaii and you can sit on the beach. And if you've got an internet connection there close to the hotel, you're going to be able to run your business from anywhere at any time. That's the great thing about this business. I had a couple one time, now this has been a few years back, I don't know that they're still doing this, but a couple had an RV, great big thing. And they were traveling down the road doing medical billing for doctors. Yeah, you can do it from anywhere. They had some kind of satellite on top. I guess that's what they do nowadays to get an internet connection. And they were just hauling down the road. John was driving up front and Mary was back in the back doing the medical billing for doctors, and they were seeing the United States as they did that. All right, look at this quote here from Luke Lang, a co-founder of equity crowdfunding platform Crowdcube. He thinks the virus outbreak could pave the way for new tech ventures focused on healthcare and medicine. And that's exactly what's happened, folks. This whole thing that you've seen here lately about telehealth, telemedicine, having visits with your doctor over the internet, that is something that you will find is more and more being promoted. And we just happen to have one of the best ones out there as a part of our platform, have for years. There's the link to that article. I just put that in the question box there too. Advantages of a home-based business. Now, before I talk about the advantages, I want to bring on somebody who's actually run a business from their home. This is Tim Warren that's going to pop up here in just a second. Him and his wife, Robin. So Tim, let's see if we can get you on here. Hey, there he is. And he's working from his home as well.
I am.
His wife and himself started this business many, many years ago. I think it's been 8 or 10 years, hasn't it, Tim?
Yeah, 2012 was when we started with ABS.
Yeah. And they've made a great success of the business, have moved on into all kinds of other ventures because of this business. And so I wanted to bring Tim on here because he's also the executive vice president of ABS, head of our training and support department. So Tim, I'm going to ask you a few questions here as we go along, but let's talk about just the fact that you and Robin actually worked from home and did most of this right there. Did you do it right in your own area there in Alabama, or do you have clients other places?
Well, no, actually, the beauty of what this opportunity afforded us was we wound up having more clients out of state. We worked really hard at marketing, and I got into public speaking, and I was fortunate enough to speak at a lot of statewide conferences. And everywhere I would go, I would get a few extra clients that would sign up while I was there. And so we wound up with clients scattered coast to coast.
Yeah, that happens a lot to a lot of our licensees. You talk to our licensees every day, don't you?
I do. I do.
And some of
It's
them
one of
have
the
never
things
had
that
a client locally.
I suggest to them to get involved with, blogging or social media or public speaking, that sort of thing. Anything that you can do to position yourself as an expert in the field, in which we help you do as part of our role and support. We help you with resources and showing you how to go research everything. That is a very powerful thing. People want to do business with the people they respect and think that they are thought leaders in their positions. So.
Hassan made a comment here that I thought was funny, which is a great comment, actually. He says, "We want a piece of the pie." So I think he's talking about that $5.43 trillion industry that healthcare is. Yeah. Okay, well, you can see some of the advantages. Of course, you've heard all these things before, folks. You're spending a lot of time just commuting, right? 348 hours a year you could be spending on building your own business. I don't ever leave the house now. Do you?
Maybe.
So I don't do any commuting unless it's down to the grocery store or a restaurant now and then. No bosses, no dress code, no set work hours, no office politics. Tim, even though you work for me, you don't think of me as a boss, right?
No, not at all. We're all partners here.
Yeah, he runs his own business still. It just happens that he is so good at what he does that we invited him to be a part of our team for the support, and he oversees all of our other trainers and coaches that help our licensees from coast to coast, literally.
It's really quite fulfilling. I feel like it's paying it forward because we were afforded an opportunity to really control our own destiny, and I don't know of any other opportunity out there that you can expect the kind of returns that we've seen on this. So.
Yeah, you guys have done fairly well yourself, but no doubt about it. So
Yeah,
that's
we've
why I
done good.
like to have people who are trainers and our support people and our coaches all be people who've actually done this business. Now, my wife and I did it, but we don't do it now. We're not in the medical billing business ourselves as a company. We always work through our licensee base, and we're not competing with you as one of our licensees. So, okay, questions are coming in here. Tim, let me just glance at some of these, see if they have to do directly with what you could talk
Sure.
about. Yeah, here's one from Chelsea. Says, what marketing techniques produced the highest response rate during the pandemic by your licensees? Great question.
Well, it's obviously a little tougher right now to get face to face with a doctor because you don't want you they don't want you going door to door and soliciting business. That's why I'm saying the opportunities to do public speaking are not limited to live. I mean, there are all kinds of virtual meetings. Hey, we're having one right now, right? So
Yeah.
getting the opportunity to do virtual lunch and learns, doing everything that you can to provide value to people via social media or blogging, that sort of thing. Those have very high return values. If you get to a point where, and one of the things that Patrick, you started an initiative where we do done for you webinars that people can invite potential clients to and portray it as something that they've prepared for them, which I think was brilliant during this time where it's difficult to get face to face with potential clients.
Yeah, we've done several of those. We have some more on the schedule. These are webinars similar to this one that you're watching right now, folks, that we do as a company for you. The difference is that we don't mention our company name at all. It's almost like we're invisible. It's done for you. And at the end, we always point them back to the person who invited them to the webinar. So we can do these webinars for all of our licensees from coast to coast, and yet make it seem as if it's done by your company. You'll start your own company in your own area, and yet you'll be able to point them to these webinars that we do for you. We'll show you how to invite people, how to get them to it. And once they've heard our pitch, then they'll get back with you and hopefully want to have a free practice analysis, which is how we get them started there. Okay, Tim, I put this screenshot up here of some of the services that we have besides doing medical billing for doctors.
Right.
Can you kind of tell them how these things came about and why we have other ancillary services?
Sure. One of the things, it's very difficult to get a practice to talk to you right out of the gate, first time that you meet them, about converting and allowing you to do medical billing for them. You have to build credibility, and in order to do that, it's a little simpler to do that if you have a lead-in type service, and sometimes those other services can open doors for you. They're a lot less expensive to the practice, and they are things that are needed. So you can identify areas so that you can start doing business, and people tend to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And if you can build all of that with these other services, then you get to have more meaningful conversations about higher ticket items with them.
Yeah, I've referred to them in the past as door openers, because sometimes a doctor's office thinks they have their billing under control. You know, they're doing it themselves,
Right.
or they've already outsourced it, and they just don't want to talk to you about that. But when we hit them with these other services,
Right.
and we have marketing pieces, of course, that go through information about each one of these. Once you start marketing to a particular doctor and you hit him with every month a different service, it shows that you are a full service company. You can do everything that has to do with their revenue. Anything
That's
that
right.
increases their revenue or saves them money, we've got it. And a lot of
Yeah.
these came about because of people like you, Tim, that you suggested, hey, why don't you offer a particular thing like credentialing?
That's exactly right. And this is one of those things that's just a really great opportunity, because if they find one little service that works very well, solves a problem for them, we found that people that are extremely happy with things like that won't be able to stop talking about it, and they'll continue to recommend the service and your services to their friends. It's a very small, tight-knit community, and the word travels very fast when you're happy with someone's services, because they're all looking for a better way to do things. So I think that these kinds of services can lead to much greater conversations, and warm marketing, and networking is fantastic as far as a strategy for this business. And that's the one thing that you guys taught me in my training, that I had never really done that much networking before, but it was extremely powerful for us. It's harder now because of our quarantines and that sort of thing, and it's a little bit more difficult. But all of the other things that I mentioned, when things go back to normal, it's still going to be a very powerful tool.
Yes, and all we've done really is kind of tweak some of the stuff that we used to teach people to do
That's
face
right.
to face. We just told them how to do it digitally now. And
Right.
that's what we've been training on since the whole pandemic started. We actually went virtual as a company the end of last year, before we even knew there was a virus coming to America.
Sure
And
did.
probably a smart move there. You people used to
We're
have
the
to travel
original
down here
social
for a week
distancing.
and stay at a hotel. They
Yeah,
don't
we're
want to
the original social distancing crew.
do. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Okay, now here's some great questions. Some of them, like Hassan's asking how many licensees we have. Hassan, we have around 450 licensees that we think of as our active licensees that are out there using the platform that we actually sell here in the past 10 years or so. Now, that doesn't mean we haven't sold more licenses of that, but those were different platforms, different products, different services. Over the years, we've evolved as a company. And most people, when they get a handful of clients, they just stop marketing, don't they, Eric? Tim? They don't
Yes.
really necessarily go out and actively market to their
Well,
market.
one of the things that was something that attracted me is I could make this business exactly what I wanted it to be. I could scale it up, scale it down as necessary. And depending on your life situation, if you want a lot of clients and you want a lot of activity all the time, every day, you want to hire a lot of people, you can do that. But if you get to a point where you are into nearing retirement or at retirement, then you can scale down and just keep the handful of clients that you want. And I think a lot of our licensees actually do that. Our business owners say, okay, I can deal with just having 4 or 5 clients and I'll do
Yeah.
all the billing myself, and that's that. And it's a very viable way to do business, and you get to control your own destiny that way.
Yeah, so people can literally make this business as big as they want it. We've got licensees that have over 100 doctors that
Yes.
are revenue of $1 million a year.
Hmm.
So, but we've also got some, like Tim says, that's been with us for years and years, and they just still run it from their home because that's all they want to do. They don't want to work more than 30 hours a week or whatever.
Right.
It fits their lifestyle better.
And you were talking about someone you knew that was doing this from an RV. I actually have a business owner that I speak to on a fairly regular basis, and she and her husband's a retired podiatrist. I speak to her on a regular basis from their RV because they have a Class A motorhome, and 2 months out of the year she'll be at the beach in Florida, 2 months she'll be in the mountains in Colorado, and 2 months she'll be out in Arizona, and the rest of the time they're home in New York. So it's still
That's
going on that way. So.
fantastic. I did not know we had, now, by the way, Tim referred to it as a business owner. You are owning your own business. That's true. We sometimes refer to our people as licensees. You've heard the term franchisee. Well, somebody who purchases our license is a licensee to us, but they're business owners. And I did not know that, Tim. That's a good, I need to start referring to that couple instead of somebody years ago that was doing it. Okay, Sam wants to know, and Sam is a female. I happen to know that. Sam says, what's the difference between a trainer and a coach?
Okay.
You
A
want to talk
trainer is
about
someone,
our trainers who get people through the initial training versus on the back end. Yeah.
right? And so we also have peer coaches that we utilize from time to time that are, some. One of the things that I found really interesting when I joined ABS was the openness of the other licensee slash business owners, because they were caring about me being successful as well. And I think that I came in having the perception that I was in competition with everybody else, and there's nothing that could be further from the truth. That we'll never get to every potential client out here collectively. We never will. There's that much business. And Patrick, I don't know if you really know a lot about the business, because I started a business in 2007, and it was not this. And I was an independent manufacturer's rep, had a few sales guys working with me, and we went and were manufacturers reps for companies that didn't have their own sales force. And we started that in 2007. And then, hey, by the way, 2008 was kind of a little bit of a downturn as well, in case nobody was counting.
Yeah.
Uh,
Recession. Right.
and the one mistake that I saw that I had made is that we were in a very unique position where we were not insulated from economic downturns. I started at that moment in 2008 looking, what else is there that I can insulate myself from economic factors? And so I looked and I looked and I looked, and I kept looking at this opportunity. I looked at it for 3 years until I pulled the trigger in 2012. And my biggest mistake on that was not doing that 3 years earlier, because this has insulated us from the economic pressures of the quarantine. We've been just fine during the time. The time period that the practices were seeing downturns in being able to see patients and everything just opened up a brand new opportunity for us to start talking about telehealth. And so we were able to talk about that and facilitate people adding on telehealth so they could keep seeing patients remotely during that time. It's completely insulated us from what's been going on with the pandemic. So
Yeah, I've heard that from so many people. I interview licensees from time to time, as you know, Tim, and every one of them has said the same thing. One of them I interviewed just a few weeks back. He said, yeah, I've already signed up one client and have two more that are anxious to talk to me. He said, the doctor invited me on a Saturday when there were no patients there.
yes.
We both sat there with masks and, you know, socially distanced and all that. But he said, I signed him up, and he's, because doctors are really hurting right now, aren't they, Tim? This is a tough time for them.
Well, they're concerned, because they're afraid of what might come next. I think that most of the ones that I've been involved with are actually back to somewhat normalcy. It's still got a ways to go, but they're still doing adequate volume and that sort of thing. But I think the concern, and we're so well positioned as trusted advisors in what we do as licensees and business owners. It's one of those things where we have the ability to advise them of what might come next and how to combat that and come up with solutions to the problems that they're going to be facing. So,
yeah, Tim, here's a great business. It kind of ties in with this. You were talking about the difference between trainers and coaches. Of course, and I haven't even covered this, but folks, I'll talk a little bit more about it at the end. We do have an online training with a trainer who's been certified by us that actually runs their own business just like Tim does. And this person will be online with you one-on-one using technology like we're using here today with slides and handouts and all kinds of stuff. But they will be just for you and any partner that you want to sit in on the training as well. That's an initial 8 modules of anywhere from 12 to 18 hours. But then after that, somebody says, how long would you have a coach? Let's talk about that just for a second, Tim, because not everybody needs a coach.
no, that's correct. I mean, we have people coming in that understand what's there. They are comfortable with all the marketing and that sort of thing, and they just hit the ground running. The other ones that struggle with one thing or another, that's why we have coaches, and that's why we have follow-up support. And Patrick, I mean, I don't want to steal your thunder, but our support is basically unlimited for the life of your license. And so we have a staff that is there. And I guess that when I was making my decision, that was one of the things that I couldn't understand. Is like, how on earth, if you don't have any residual cost to it, how on earth can you tell me that you're going to deliver lifetime support? And now you've made me a part of it. I once it was explained to me exactly how all of that works and how you fund the support for all of the licensees, that was the thing that tipped me to making my decision. Was like, yeah, they're pretty serious about this. And obviously, if you've been around 26 years, we plan on being here 26 more. So things are set up very well to support licensees long term.
Yeah, so Shirley, the answer to your question is basically you can have a coach as long as you need one. But what we're going to do is help you and learn and teach you with that coach how to get your own clients. Once you've got one client, Tim, sometimes that's all they need to get started, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, so speaking from our experience, when we signed our first client, within, it was a 6 or 8 month period, we had earned back everything that we had invested in the business in about 6 or 8 months, and then we've been profitable ever since then. So I don't know any other business that can boast that sort of thing.
Oh no, that's a return on investment in 6 months is unheard of in any business. But our investment is not that much money if you think about it. It's the cost of a used car nowadays. And so you can certainly get this started as easily as you want to. By the
Oh my
way,
goodness. Yeah. If I can just interject, I mean, if you start going and looking at the cost of franchises, I mean, this is a fraction of a lot of the ones that you're looking at as far as an upfront cost, and then the residual cost after the fact. And they tell you how you're going to do everything. I That didn't appeal to me.
yeah.
Being able to have a little bit of control over it really appealed to me.
Yeah, and Tim, you brought up a good point. People wonder, how do you offer lifetime support? In other words, there's no ever any fees of any kind that you pay us after that initial fee. How do we do that? Well, one of the ways is through what you see there on the screen, our ancillary services. Those are paid by the doctor, fees to the doctor. You make a percentage of those, and we make a few pennies on all those transactions as well. So as a company, we have back end income that comes in. It's just not from you. You don't pay us anything, no royalties or anything like that. Tim, I know you have to go here shortly. What do you
I
got
do.
something coming up with a licensee, don't you?
Yeah, we have one of our licensees has just signed his first client, and they have a cardiology practice that he's doing some initial training. We're helping them work through their workflow and get everything set up. And as support, we assist with that sort of thing as well. And so we have a meeting coming up here in a few minutes that I'm going to have to excuse myself, but I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of this.
Well, you just jump out whenever you need to, Tim. Let me see if I can squeeze this one other question here. This is a good one. Janice says, why are doctors willing to outsource versus having a staff person do the billing?
Well, there's a cost benefit to that. I can't speak for everyone, but you're usually, depending on the volume of the practice, you're usually going to have one or two people dedicated to that. Both of those people are going to be making $20 an hour or more. By the time you add unemployment and 401ks and all the other benefits to that, there can be a tremendous cost benefit to the practice to actually outsource because you have some advantages in pricing because we also have a unique platform to process all the claims. And we can, in 99% of the cases, we can increase revenue and we can get them paid faster and more completely. So their revenue goes up, their cost of processing goes down. It's kind of a no-brainer at that point in time. That's why they would want to consider outsourcing with that sort of math.
Yeah, here's a chart that I don't know if I'll get to it in detail today, folks, but we've shown this in the past on previous webinars. And it just shows what an in-house cost is for the doctor to do billing with
Yeah, there you go.
figuring you got 1.5 people working, and outsourcing it to somebody like yourself who's just charging a small 6 to 8% fee.
Exactly.
So they can save a lot of money, but then we also bring in a whole lot more money for them as well. We can prove that to them through our practice analysis that we do for each one of the prospective clients.
And frankly, your numbers right there, the $15 an hour on the full-time billing employees, it's a little hard to find someone for $15 an hour anymore that's worth their salt and is experienced enough to do the work.
That's true. I always try to lowball this so that
Right.
people don't think we're blowing it out of proportion. But yeah, they could spend a whole lot more than $65,000 a year
Oh yeah.
to have it done inside with their own people. And
Mhm.
their own people don't have any motivation to collect as much as they can because their pay is the same, right? Their own salary.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Whereas, a licensee is going to get a percentage of every dollar that they collect for that
Mhm.
person. Yeah.
So I'm going to excuse myself soon. Is there any other question that we have? I'd love to answer anything that anyone needs.
Well, most of these, it looks like I can answer most of these,
Okay.
Tim. They're not. Oh, here's one from Vince that might be interesting to everybody. How long is the average sales cycle to sign up a provider? You work with licensees every day. What that can run from, well, depends on whether full time or part time, I guess, huh?
Well, I got a great anecdotal story. We had a licensee in California, and she just had this bubbly personality, and she went out and went to a building where there were multiple providers. She walked in and signed 2 doctors her first day out. And that's not the norm.
Yeah,
That's not the norm. But she went out and she signed those, and she's done extremely well with those 2 clients. Sales cycles for most people are going to be varying. If you're trying to go in and the first thing you want to talk about is medical billing, your sales cycle can be much longer. If you're patient and you say, I have all these other ancillary services that we can look at to solve, some individual problems along the way, build your credibility, then the sales cycle on the medical billing, when you finally get around to it, it may be 30 days.
yeah.
It may be 90 days. It could be 6 months. It could be a year. You just don't know. It depends on each individual practice and their situation. But the more credibility you build before you have that conversation, the shorter the sales cycle.
Exactly. Well, Tim, thank you for being on here. I appreciate it. I know you need to get back to helping licensees, so I'll let you go.
My friend, it was an honor. Thank you very much for making me a part of this. And whatever every one of you folks decides, best of luck to you and everything.
All right. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
I'm going to talk a little bit more here about some of the business aspects of this business. One of the questions from Padam was, can you explain how this business works? How is it different than other retail or on-site businesses? Well, Padam, the difference is that the business is out there in the doctor's offices. So what we teach you to do is to have those doctors engage with you through contacts that we talk to you about in your own area. People who already know those doctors introduce you to those doctors. So there is a marketing plan or system that we have. That's why we call it American Business Systems, because we have a system of actually reaching those doctors and having them want to get engaged with you and call you. So there's not a retail. Of course, there's no storefront of any kind. These are some positives, by the way, believe it or not. You don't have to have a place. In fact, there's a lot less risk in this business as well. Let me show you what I mean by that. For example, any other business opportunity or franchise that you find out there, folks, here's what's going to happen. You're going to look into it. You're going to do your due diligence. Hopefully, they'll let you talk to some of their owners, and you decide, okay, this is what I want to do. So they're going to get a franchise fee from you of some kind. It could be, well, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000, whatever it is. I think Subway is like $75,000 just for the franchise fee. And then, of course, you have to find the location, the building, a lot of other expenses. But there's always a franchise fee. Once you've paid that fee, you'll go through their training. Once you go through the training, if there's anything you didn't think you'd like about the business, it's too bad. I mean, I'm just telling you the facts. Ask any business out there that's selling you how to do a business like we are, if you can get your money back. Not many people offer that. I don't know of any others. I know there's no medical billing training company that offers a 100% money back guarantee. We do, and that's only because we've had only a handful of people over the years ask for their money back. So we know what we have. We feel confident in that. It's less than 0.5% of our licensees who've ever even mentioned that. So we don't hesitate to offer that because we know what we have, and it gives you a better feeling that you can go through all of our training, get all of our proprietary information, know everything there is about this business, and then still say, I want my money back. And we don't ask questions or argue with you on that. We just issue you your check back or credit your credit card or however you paid for it. Okay, ooh, we've got lots of questions coming in here. Let me see if I can get to some of these here. Okay, so let's see. Janice says, does ABS have a listing of potential doctors seeking outsourced billing companies? Janice, if we had that list of doctors who were ready to sign up with an outsourced billing service, we wouldn't need you. I mean, I'm being honest with you. We really wouldn't need you. We could just go sign them up ourselves, right? As a company. This is why we got out of the medical billing business ourselves, and we only work through our licensees and people like Tim and our trainers who are running the business. They know the answers to all the questions that are out there. They're just not competing with you. And so if we had a listing, believe me, if there's companies saying they have a list, ask them, what kind of list is that? Because I can show you where to get lists of all the doctors in your area, all the specialties in your area, in fact. But they're not going to be people who are ready to sign up. Believe me, they don't have that, no matter what they say. Okay, Trudy says, has there been a reduction in your revenue since the pandemic? No, Trudy, believe it or not, we signed up more people, more doctors in the last 3 months than we have all the previous year. We brought in more revenue for our licensees and ourselves as a company. That tells you that our business is booming. It is recession proof, or as recession proof as it gets. Hassan says, can you lose your license in the future? No, Hassan, once you've purchased a license from us, you can stop doing the business, of course. You could sell the business to somebody else, but they have to buy the license from us to get the training and support that they would need. But yeah, you can turn over your clients to anybody in the future. They just wouldn't have our training or support. It's your business to do whatever you want with it. So we don't ever take that away from you. There's no, minimum number of people you have to sign up or something like that. Okay, and let's see. I think we answered that one, and that one. Okay, good. I got a lot of good comments about Tim being on here. I appreciate that. Are you using Salesforce to generate leads? Vince, we don't use Salesforce, but we have other customer relationship management software that we recommend to our licensees to generate leads. And one of them is our service that we refer to here. Here's a picture of it. It's called AutoCard, and it has a database built in. You can follow up. You can set up campaigns to send out regular emails and printed postcards, full color postcards to people. So it's not Salesforce, but it's something similar to that we teach people to use. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me just tell you just a little bit more here, and I'll look for other questions as they come in, or get to all of them. It's we got about what, 10 minutes? Yeah. All right. So this is a recession-proof business, folks, and let me prove that to you. I'm going to talk about potential earnings. Now, here's my warning up front. When we talk about potential earnings, we mean potential. This is not what every licensee earns, what I'm going to be talking about here. This is just the potential. Look, I don't care what other people in a business could earn. I might be interested in what the average is, but I'm not average. See, I think of it as this. If you give me an unlimited potential to make as much money as I want to make, depending on how much time and effort I want to put into a business, I don't care what the average person makes. But just so you know, it's just like the weight loss ads on TV. Not everybody loses 100 pounds in a month that gets on a diet plan, right? Not all of our licensees are going to earn the kind of money I'm about to show you. But on our website, there is a section there on how much can you earn in this business. And it's a simple form that you fill out that you're looking at right here. It asks you the number of doctors that you'd like to have as clients, the number of average patients that they see in a day, and the average number of days they work per week, and then what you would charge. Now, we've dropped in some numbers here. This is based on 5 doctors as clients, 20 patients a day, 5 days a week, charging 7%. I told you earlier that most of our licensees charge between 6 to 8%. We've seen lower, we've seen higher, but 7 is right there in the middle. It's about average, and an average claim of about $150. So let's hit the submit button here on this slide, and you'll see what goes to, and that shows you that each year you could be servicing 5 medical offices with 5 doctors. That's all, 5 doctors, $273,000 a year. So see, it does have a nice potential to it, doesn't it? For the kind of investment that we're asking for, which is $28,000, you can earn that back with 1 doctor, right? Just plug in your own numbers when you go to that on our website. You'll see that the average monthly gross income for 5 doctors is $22,748 a month. Now, will you have some expenses on top of that? Of course. Anything you spend on advertising, maybe some of the, if you hire somebody to do the work for you, you could literally do the billing for 5 people and never hire anybody. Folks, that's $273,000. I don't know many home businesses that can show you that kind of potential with that fewer clients. It's only 5 offices will give you that. Plus, there's all kinds of tax advantages. If you haven't looked into this, folks, here's a reason to start your own business right here. Yes, there's a book called How to Pay Zero Taxes. Guess who it's for? It's for business owners, because the government actually has 2 tax systems. Yeah, they have a system for people who work for somebody else, And then they have a tax system for people who own their own business. And there's a big difference. Look at all the expenses you could be having in tax advantages. Now, you'd have to refer to your own CPA to make sure that all these apply to you. But folks, there's medical expenses, income taxes, interest, mortgage insurance, charitable contributions. Look, it just goes on and on. Any gifts that you buy, meals that you buy, there's lots of advantages. And this is right out of that book. So you can find that on Amazon. How to Pay Zero Income, Zero Taxes, it's called. Plus, of course, you know that having your own business, you'd have more time with your family. Now, that may be a good thing for some people. Maybe people don't want more time with their family right now, but you just lock yourself in an office just like I am right here and lock your family out. It's less stress. Believe me, folks, in your own business, you don't worry about somebody calling you in and letting you go someday and saying, you got 2 weeks, clean out your desk and get out of here. We'll give you 2 weeks pay. That doesn't happen. If you don't like the kind of money you're making in this business, just face yourself in the mirror and say, you need to work a little harder. There's opportunities for professional growth because you'll learn all kinds of new things when you're running your own business, folks. Lots of opportunities to learn through webinars like this. We do these webinars for our licensees as well, not on Wednesdays, usually on Friday, but we record them and put them on our website, and the licensees can watch them anytime they want to. So we have ongoing training that's included in that license fee that we never charge another dollar for. Increased productivity, why? Because you're not traveling on the road for 348 hours a year and commuting, so you get more time. It's a very creative outlet. You'll see creating your own slideshows, learning how to do videos. All this stuff is available to you as a business owner. No franchise fees. I mentioned that earlier. There's also no ongoing fees of any kind. You can have as many people logging into your system as you wish. There's no upgrades to the software. It's all done automatically behind the scenes. No cost to you for any of that. No cost for training or support. Be sure and ask any other company if that's true. Do you have a one-time licensing fee that covers everything? No territory restrictions. We mentioned that earlier. You can actually have clients all over the United States. And here's some of the specialties. Now, you know what? There's lots of potential clients that are in your area, not just general doctors' practices, but all kinds of specialties that you can do the billing for too. Any doctor that's currently filing on a paper form called the 1500 form, that's what they call it in their office, you can do the billing for them. All right, now I'm going to find that and put that in the handout section there so you can download that right now. Oh, Chelsea's asking, what are some ways to finance the licensing fee? Chelsea, I can't get into that here during this webinar. There's just too many variables. It depends on you and your situation. I would encourage you to get back with the person who invited you to this webinar, what we call your business development representative here at ABS, and I'll show you how to get a hold of them here in just a second. Thanks, Tim, for all of his information. Yep, thank you, Vince and Shirley. That's great. As a medical sales territory manager, a CRM will help. Yes, Vince, you're absolutely right there. You can't do without a CRM. Don't forget to mention about the financing options. Oh, well, I just talked about that, Janice, and again, that's something you have to talk specifically with us about. It's too generic a subject to talk about on a webinar like this, but there are ways to come up with money for this if you don't have it saved already. How long does the class last training after you get that package, Shirley says. Shirley, you know, this is up to you. It's up to your schedule. We do this training based on your schedule as a person. And so one-on-one, our trainer will get with you and say, okay, here's the time slots that are available. What would work for you? Let's work it around your schedule. Some people get this training done within, well, less than 2 or 3 weeks, but 30 days for sure, you can be through it. It's just 8 modules. Each one's about 60 to 90 minutes, you know, that you go through there. And it's all done online. So really literally can be done, you know, at any time that fits your schedule. Let's get back to the questions here. And we'll talk a little bit more about our training. We train you as a certified medical revenue manager. That's much more than a medical biller because we teach you every aspect of helping the doctor collect their revenue. We do that, of course, based on our 100% cloud-based system that's won all kinds of awards. And so it's a very solid system that's been used for over 20 years now for, you know, teaching people how to do the billing for the doctors. You'll be accessing the real-time reporting to show to your doctors. You'll be able to go through step-by-step on the screen through our training modules that teach you exactly how to use it. These are some screenshots. And of course, you'll get all of our marketing materials that I mentioned earlier. We have books that you can put your name on the cover. We have flyers, postcards, all sorts of good things for you. And like I said, there's other revenue streams that you'll have as well. These are just, again, some slides I thought I'd throw in here. You can see these more in detail there when you zoom in on them. Okay, let me see. I got to wrap this up here pretty quick. What are we looking at here? It's time. Okay, let me see if I got all the questions, and then I'll show you guys. Well, I'll just show you right now some of the steps. I'll put those on the screen here. This is what you need to do. If you don't know who your rep is, by the way, you can always call our phone number right here on the screen, 866-565-8413. That's toll free. Call us and say, who is my rep? We'll let you know who that person is. If you can't find the email, for example, that invited you to this webinar, you want to browse our YouTube channel right there. And you'll also want to ask your ABS rep for an owner reference list. That's other owners of this business that are willing to take phone calls, and you can talk to other people who've gone through our training and graduated. You can ask for a live demo of our system. We'll show you step-by-step, one-on-one, just like we will for your prospects. We go through the demo of our system so you can see it and ask all the questions you want. And the last step is really just reserve your spot for your first live training. Folks, those training slots fill up fairly fast. Sometimes there is a waiting list. You'll have to get with your rep and just find out how quickly. It's first come, first serve. So whoever signs up for it first gets that. Again, it's done online, sitting in the comfort of your home, anytime, anywhere. Did I get to all the questions? Let me see if I lost my question box here. Where'd it go? Let me zoom out here. I've got it zoomed in. Here we go. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. If those of you are hanging in there, I'll try to get any other questions that we didn't cover. Hassan says, what is the service that you can easily present to the doctor to build his trust? Oh gosh, we have so many of them, Hassan, out of those that I told you about there. I'd go read our website on all those different services, find out which one you think might be something that your doctor might be interested in. But one of them is Compliancy Guard. Compliancy Guard. Yeah, they're not compliant, a lot of them, with HIPAA rules and regulations, and they can get fined thousands of dollars. Well, that opens their eyes and gets their attention pretty easily, and will build their trust. Okay. Mike says, sorry, I may have missed it, but what if I don't have $28,000? Mike, there are ways that you can finance a business like this and come up with money. Now, I know this is not as creative as some people would like to hear, but if you have a credit card or credit cards, people have financed this business on 3 or 4 cards because you're basically financing yourself, right? You're loaning yourself the money. Now, the interest rate is not really exciting on that unless you get a brand new card, and maybe there's a no interest for the first 6 months. But there are ways to do it besides that. You'll just have to get with your rep. Again, there's the steps. I'm going to leave this on the screen here so you guys can see that.